Hey guys, Katrina here. I'm just going to give us a brief introduction to this new monthly business analysis and show us a few new processes on how to complete this in the most efficient way. So, what I want to point out first is that you can access these documents through our new shared folders on Office 365. Here we have two, the Baltimore Leadership Schedules and the Baltimore MBA. The MBA is what we're going to focus on today, and then we will select the month that we are currently in. So, with that stated, you have over here your monthly business analysis, your recap, blank templates, and then you'll see that I've already uploaded mine. So, when we look at the templates, we do have the monthly business analysis and then the store business recap. These are two documents now that are split our MBA, aka one document, into two, which is basically the data and then the commentary. The analysis will be the commentary, and then the recap will be the data. So within this session today, we will be focusing mostly on the recap so that we can understand what to do, and then I'll give a few quick tidbits information on how best to fill out the analysis as well. So here we have our store analysis, and I have put together a document that hopefully will help us in basically getting this together. So here, this is our monthly business analysis reference guide. These are the documents you'll need to complete this recap. It tells you exactly what document and then where to go to find it. And then as you go further, it's a step-by-step guide on how to do so. So with that being stated, let's get started. First, step one will be to fill out your top row, and you want to partner with your DM to find your square footage. So you'll see here that I basically would fill out my name or store name, what week we're in, and our square footage. This should never change, so as long as you have that filled out once, it should work out good. And look at that, we're already done step one. Step two would be to use success factors and your store roster to fill out your open leadership positions, which is pretty, relative to what we did on our old MBA, just in a different format. So make sure to fill it out there. And then here's an example of that right here. And then the next step would be to fill out the turnover, in which you want to use your most recent turnover report to find this. And then you could find this either through the store email, and I do believe it is available on the source as well. So you'll see here that I included a screenshot of how I filled that in, and then we're going to zoom into this screenshot over here because you will need not only your rolling 12, but your month to date. So you will find that in the report through these tabs down here, and normally you would see the region and then our market, and you're like, where is my information at? And you'll see that these have plus icons on the side here. So just by expanding one of these collapsed sections, you'll find that all of our information does get exposed. So this is where you can find that information for that. And then again, make sure you're looking at the rolling 12 as well as the month to date turnover. And then that will be easily filled out here. So then the next thing is getting our sales and KPI from our heat map. Our heat map also does populate the sections such as loyalty and payroll sections, aka here, sales KPI, loyalty, payroll, and ship from store. So it'll do all of those. You're asking how? How does it automatically populate? That is through this data section here, in which what we will do is we'll do a brief example on how to do this. And I'm just going to show you guys the week to date so you can see the behaviors of how to. So right here we have a blank data section. Once you fill this information out, it does populate over to the other tab, which is nice because then you have to fill every single thing out. So what we will do is we want to make sure that we go to our week to date store heat map, and over on that, want to pay attention to everybody on the top. You want to make sure that every item here that is normally collapsed is now uncollapsed and shown and exposed to us, every single one on top of this alphabet line, so that we can get every single piece of data that can then transfer over to our document using our copy and paste function. So it's just very important to do this, because if you don't, then all of your numbers and all of your data will be shifted, messed around, and it will not populate correctly. And I do also want to highlight that you want to make sure you're selecting from your store number all the way to the end. So not just starting at demand volume like we normally would. So take your store number all the way to the end, press Control C, And then over here, you will press Control V or Command C, Command V, etc. And you'll see how it perfectly populates. There will be some blank sections of which just weren't included on the heat map, so they won't be included in the transfer of this copy information. And you'll see that it'll automatically populate to this other end once completed. So once you do this whole section, it'll populate over, and I just want to show you exactly what it looks like using the one I've already completed. So here, once you have it all put in there, it'll populate over, and it basically fills itself in. It'll fill in payroll, it'll fill in loyalty, it'll fill in ship from store as well. So now you have the majority of your section of the business recap filled out, and then it even fills out parts of like the capacity, etc. So what we would need to be focusing on next would just be our MSR, the rest of our capacity, as well as our AP. So in order to do that, let's refer back to our guide and make sure we're going to step 5 now. So capacity completion. Your capacity percent should be automatically populated now, and then we just need to fill in the following sections: the units on hand, which is found on the SSIR, the last week penetration, and then the month to date penetration. So over here, you will find that on the SSIR, aka scissor, you will find that once you get your current week popped up, there's a current week on hand unit over here, and then a current or clearance this year on hand. So I would definitely advise finding the total numbers of your footwear, filling that section in, and then that would be what happens here. Our units sold, you'll see, is blank because that information is not yet available to us. So don't worry about that being blank. Instead, write NA, or 0 or no value. And then we're going to then find the last week and month to date penetration, which is then found on your MBA. So, or merchandise selling report, MSR. So you will see here that here's some penetration, and it comes to the store penetration. Right now we are on last week, so we are on week to date, but you can always click this tab down and click your month to date, and then it'll populate. This is at the very end of that report. So you'll be able to fill in that section there. Scrolling down, we will use the MSR to fill out last week and MSR information, and then month to date MSR information. This is all manual. The only things that pop up, I believe, are like the numbers over here automatically, but just make sure you're very adamant about what you put in here because, again, it's all manual. Lastly, we want to find our store shrink results, which are found in the source or APKRI report, which is found in the email in the source. So you can use the APKRI report to basically get the same information, but if you just look up shrink results on the source, it'll pop up this exact document once you find your store. And then you can fill out all the information you need, which is pretty good. Right here, my shrink goal is actually 1.17, I believe. And it kind of made it to the 1. So just pay attention to that. And then step 8, we want to use our most recent EBL report to fill out the EBL section of the header. Which typically this is pretty easy to do. But we did notice that our quarter to date results are not on the EBL tracker. So just pay attention to that and review your store overview calendar to find exactly what would count for your quarters. And step 9 would be to use our most recent Mismade goal tracker, filled out and put together, and this will help you complete your Mismade section. If this document is not compiled or filled out, you do want to refer to your store's Mismade transfer summaries, in which that was what this looks like over here. And this over here, you'll basically be counting them manually to then fill in how much you've transferred out for each store, and that should help you fill out this section. It's good to note that we cannot fill out week to date because that's not something that we do on a weekly basis for Mismades. And you will be counting the items that you transfer out, not the items that you have on your shelf. Very important to note that. So by this point, if you filled all of those things out, you should have your entire MBA data recap complete. So we just want to make a little bit of a note to reference to our analysis section, in which you would basically, I would mirror what we put over here on this exact example. So product insight would be some highlights, commenting on your MSR and like what product is most relevant in your store. some opportunities. So when it comes to product insight for opportunities, keep in mind that we're all tailoring to product, capacity and store planning. And that talks about what your capacity is. If you're under capacity or over capacity, definitely comment on that and how you basically plan to either resolve or mediate said situation. Our talent over here, this just talks about what you think about you're doing with your talent and your availability that you currently have, how you are fueling that talent. You want to recognize and coach them, so make sure that you're putting in their forward action plans of what you're doing. And then your training and development, you want to pay attention to especially what's on the learning spot, but if you do have any other training processes in place, comment it there. And then our action plan here, so you want to talk about your 3 main opportunities you want to focus on, and then your action steps and how you're going to keep those actions accountable. And by this point, you've now completed this MBA. So go ahead and submit it to your Markets Shared Outlook document folder labeled Baltimore MBA. And again, 2 separate documents, so make sure you're submitting both the analysis and the recap, and then you're completely done. So definitely reach out to me or Paul if you guys do need some help, and hopefully this does help us make sense of this new document that we are all so fresh to, and we can have a smooth transition onto how to get there.